Growing up, my older brother Josh had a dark sense of humor. He was the kind of kid who told ghost stories at sleepovers just to make other kids cry. The kind of teenager who'd pull pranks so convincingly that our parents had to apologize to the neighbors multiple times. So when I was 12, and he looked at me across the dinner table and said, "You know you're adopted, right?" I didn't even flinch. Mom rolled her eyes. Dad chuckled and told him to knock it off. Josh just grinned, like he always did when he thought he was the smartest one in the room. I laughed too, because of course it wasn't true, right? But then, little things started to bother me. I was the only one in the family with red hair. The only one with blue eyes. Mom and Dad both had brown. They said I got it from Grandma Alice. Except there were no photos of Grandma Alice. None in the albums, none in the attic. Whenever I asked about her, Mom would change the subject. Dad would just say, she was complicated. So I stopped asking. Years passed. Josh moved out. I stayed behind. He'd joke about it less and less. Until one time, when I was 17, he came home for Thanksgiving and pulled me aside in the garage. He looked more serious than I'd ever seen him. "Listen," he said, "I was just messing around when we were kids. But have you ever actually asked them?" "Asked them what?" "If you're adopted." I laughed nervously. "You're still on that?" He shrugged. "I'm just saying. You ever notice how Mom gets all weird when people talk about giving birth? Or how there are literally 0 baby photos of you before age 2? My heart thudded a little harder. I hadn't noticed that. Not really. Until he said it. That night, I searched through our photo albums, page after page. Pictures of Josh as a baby. Him in the hospital. His first bath. His first Christmas. Then a sudden jump. To me at 2 years old, sitting on a couch with no context. No birth photos, no hospital wristband, no baby shower. Just there. Like I appeared out of nowhere. Though, next day, I asked my mom about it. Casually, as if it hadn't kept me up all night. "Why aren't there any baby pictures of me before I was 2? She froze. "What do you mean?" "Like from the hospital, or my first birthday," she smiled, too wide. "Oh, honey, you know those old photos were lost when the basement flooded, remember?" I did remember the flood, but Josh's baby photos survived. Somehow only mine were lost. Still, I dropped it. I wanted to believe her. I really did. But the doubt had planted itself in my chest and refused to let go. A few weeks later, curiosity won. I ordered a DNA test. Just for peace of mind, I told myself. Just to shut Josh up. But when the results came in, my heart stopped. There were no matches to my parents. None. Not even distant cousins on either side. The site flagged it as unusual. Suggested a data error. But deep down, I knew it wasn't. And in the middle of my panic, I noticed something else. One match. A strong one. Possible maternal relationship. 99.8%. But it wasn't my mom's name. It was a woman I'd never heard of, and she was very much alive. I stared at the name on the screen for a full minute before doing anything else. Christina Lane. Born 1976. Location 2 hours from me. Relationship predicted to be my biological mother. Not possible, not maybe. The DNA site practically screamed, "Yes, this is her." My hands were shaking. I had grown up with 2 parents who loved me. So why did this feel like I had just been orphaned? I didn't confront them right away. Instead, I spent the next few days digging through public records, social media, anything I could find about Christina Lane. She had a Facebook profile. It was mostly locked down, but one photo was public, a group family photo in a park. There were 3 people in it. Christina, a man I assumed was her husband, and a teenage girl with the same exact eyes as me. It was like staring at my reflection in someone else's life. Josh called me that weekend, completely unaware of the emotional minefield I was walking through. "So? Did you do the test?" "Yeah." I didn't elaborate. Dude, you're being weird. What did it say? It said, I'm adopted. Silence. Wait, seriously? That was the first time Josh didn't sound smug or sarcastic. He sounded stunned. Maybe even a little scared. I was joking, man. Holy crap. I finally broke. I told him about the DNA test, about Christina, about the photos, about the look on Mom's face when I asked about my baby pictures. He listened the whole time, not interrupting once. You gonna talk to them? He asked. I don't know. What if it's worse than I think? Josh was quiet for a long beat. I think it already is. That night, I couldn't sleep, so I got in my car and drove to the one place that never changed, my childhood home. The lights were still on. My parents were in the living room watching something on TV. I walked in and just stood there. My mom turned around, smiling like everything was normal. Hey, sweetie, you're here late. I didn't smile back. Who is Christina Lane? That smile dropped off her face like a curtain falling. My dad slowly muted the TV. He didn't say a word, didn't even look surprised. Answer me, I said, my voice shaking. My mom blinked rapidly. Where did you hear that name? She's my birth mother, isn't she? Her lips parted, then closed again. We were going to tell you someday. That was it. That's what she said. I exploded. When? On my wedding day? My funeral? What's the deadline for telling your kid they're adopted? Tears welled up in her eyes. We weren't trying to hurt you. You lied to me my whole life. Finally, my dad spoke. We didn't lie. We just didn't tell you everything. I laughed bitterly. That's literally the definition of lying. They told me I was adopted at 2 years old, that Christina was young and couldn't take care of me, that they were distant friends of the family and stepped in when no one else could. You were a gift, my mom whispered, but it didn't feel like a gift. It felt like a theft. And the worst part, they made Josh the bad guy for telling me, even accidentally, the one thing I had a right to know. I left that night. Not angrily, just numb. And when I got back to my apartment, I stared at Christina Lane's Facebook profile again. Then I sent her a message. Just one sentence. I think I might be your son. I didn't expect her to respond right away, but she did. Less than an hour later, her reply was short. Careful. What's your name? I told her. And just like that, the door cracked open. I've been wondering if this day would come. My heart sank. She didn't deny it. She didn't seem confused. She knew who I was. We messaged for hours that night. She confirmed everything. That she gave birth to me when she was 19. That she wasn't ready. That my biological father left before I was born. That she didn't want to give me up, but was convinced it was the best option. What she said next stopped me cold. I didn't choose your adoptive parents. They weren't even part of the plan. I blinked. What does that mean? She said I was supposed to go through a closed adoption with a vetted agency. But before the paperwork was finalized, a friend of a friend offered to take me in. A couple who had lost their own baby recently and were desperate to adopt without the legal mess. That couple was my parents. I never signed anything, she wrote. I didn't even know where you ended up. I tried to find you when I got older, but there were no records. The room spun. For years, I thought my parents were just overly private. Controlling, maybe. But this sounded illegal. It sounded like they stole me. I called Josh immediately, told him everything. He didn't say a word for a while. Then, holy shit. Exactly. What are you gonna do? I don't know, I admitted. I felt like I was standing at the edge of a cliff, and everything I thought was solid beneath me, family, childhood, identity, had just crumbled. The next few days were a blur. Christina and I kept talking. She sent me photos of myself as a baby. Real baby photos. Ones I'd never seen. Me in her arms. in a hospital blanket, a hospital bracelet with my birth name, Liam. That wasn't even my name anymore. I had been renamed, rebranded, rewritten. Finally agreed to meet her. We picked a small cafe in a neutral area halfway between our towns. I wore a hoodie and sunglasses like some undercover agent, but she recognized me instantly. She stood up, her eyes filled with tears, and then she hugged me, like it was the first time, and the last time, all at once. It felt strange. Not wrong, just unfamiliar. Like looking in a mirror and seeing a version of myself I never got to be. We talked for hours. She told me more about her life, about the guilt that ate at her for years, about how she tried to move on, but never stopped. Looking, and then she dropped something I wasn't ready for. Your biological father. He's been trying to find you too. I almost laughed. The guy who left before I was born? She shook her head. That's what I thought too, but it turns out he didn't leave. He was told I gave you up, without telling him. Apparently he came back a year later, ready to help raise me. But I was already gone. No one could find me. That's when it clicked. My parents hadn't just adopted me. They'd taken me, under the table, behind everyone's back. And suddenly, I wasn't sure if they were my saviors or something else entirely. Christina's revelation haunted me for days. Every conversation, every moment with my parents felt like a performance now. Their smiles, their hugs, the way they'd always brushed off any questions I had about my origins. I couldn't see them the same way anymore. I spent hours driving around, lost in my own thoughts. Could I still love them? Could I still consider them my parents after what I learned? I wasn't even sure what the right thing was anymore. Was exposing everything the right choice? Or would it destroy everything? All the years of memories, of comfort, of feeling like I belonged somewhere. I needed to talk to Josh. He wasn't his usual joking self when I called. His voice was low, concerned. You okay, man? I didn't answer immediately. Are they okay? I don't know, he said slowly. Are you okay? I don't. No, I repeated. Everything feels broken. There was a pause. Then Josh sighed. I don't know what to say. I did warn you. But at the end of the day, they're still your parents, right? I shook my head, even though he couldn't see me. But they lied to me about everything. My whole life is built on a lie. Does it matter? Josh asked softly. I mean, it's not like you're gonna undo your childhood. You've still got your memories, your family. But you can't change the truth now, can you? I wanted to argue. I wanted to say that everything had changed. That I couldn't just forget how I was taken from Christina, how my real father had tried to find me. But deep down, I knew Josh was right. I couldn't undo the past, but I also couldn't live with it hanging over me forever. The next day, I sat down with my parents. They had no idea I was coming over. I just walked into the house like I had 100 times before, except this time, the weight of everything felt suffocating. I didn't waste time. I talked to Christina. I know everything. They both froze. My mom's face went pale. My dad's jaw clenched. We didn't think you'd ever find out, my mom whispered. We didn't want to lose you. I stood there, my heart pounding, trying to keep my voice steady. You didn't lose me. You took me. The room felt colder. My dad finally spoke. His voice was hoarse. It wasn't like that. We were just trying to protect you. Protect me? By kidnapping me? By keeping me from my real family? From my father? My mom's eyes welled up. We didn't want you to grow up in that mess. Christina was too young. And we loved you, Liam. We still do. The air in the room felt thick with guilt and anger. It wasn't enough. Nothing they said could take away the fact that they had stolen my life, my identity, for their own comfort. For the first time, I made a choice. I didn't have to make them pay for their mistake, But I couldn't let this continue. I couldn't let them lie to me, to themselves, and to everyone else in the family. I turned to them and said, I'm going to tell the truth. To everyone. I can't live with this anymore. Their faces went ashen. Please, my mom begged, her voice breaking. You don't have to do this. Please, for us. We are your parents. No, I said, shaking my head. You were, yes, but not anymore. I need to find out who I really am, and that means I need to face the truth. All of it. That night, I called Christina again. I told her everything I planned to do. She was relieved. I could hear it in her voice. It's your life, Liam. You deserve to know everything, and so do they. It wasn't just about me anymore. It was about making sure the lies stopped with me. And it was about giving my real father the chance to finally know me. I spent the next few weeks gathering everything. Birth records, adoption papers, anything I could use to explain everything to the family. I knew it would hurt them. I knew it would tear the family apart, but I couldn't pretend anymore. When the day came, I did it. I told everyone. I told our extended family, our friends, and even some of my old teachers. The truth laid bare. And for the first time in my life, I didn't feel like a liar. I felt like I was finally free. Epilogue. My real father and I still talk, slowly getting to know each other. Christina and I built a relationship, one that's awkward but full of potential. My mom and dad tried to rebuild what they could, but the damage was done. I don't know where we go from here. I don't know what family is supposed to look like anymore, but I do know one thing. I'm finally starting to figure out who I am, and no one can take that from me.